Okay, so we are back for another review, and this isn't the movie that I was planning on reviewing. So I was planning on doing Together, but all of the times that were out were just either didn't work timing wise, or there wasn't anything available in any theater near me. So unfortunately, that one will have to be put on hold until it either comes out on digital or maybe even a better time to see it. But I did still see a new movie. Technically, it says that it was released in 2024, but that might have just been from festivals and stuff like that. So, um, but yes, this is a different movie than what I was planning on. It is Jimmy and Sticks, a movie that proves that while it is great to do it to write your own movie, star it, direct it, produce it, all of that stuff, sometimes not every idea and every movie needs to be a full-length film. So let's dive into this. So the story starts off with the main character, Jimmy, who is a writer, trying to get one of his scripts picked up, basically, and since people aren't, taking a lot of his scripts because him and his buddy Sticks have stopped working together, and that's where a lot of the success was coming from, was them putting their stories together and selling them, and now that he doesn't have that anymore, no one's really buying many of his stories anymore, and whatever happened between them, he doesn't want to fix it with him, he doesn't want to talk to the guy, he wants to basically stay away from him. So as he's talking to his agent about that, he ends up having a dinner date with a girl that's supposed to come over, and he's just sitting there watching what I can only imagine is a very naughty film. Sits on his couch, starts smoking, and his apartment starts shaking. He's thinking it's maybe an earthquake at first, but then it feels like it's only his apartment that's shaking, and ends up seeing some flashy lights, sees some possibly aliens around in his apartment, tries to run around and get out, and starts losing feelings in his limbs. So he's not able to move, and the aliens kind of abduct him, but he doesn't realize it. He ends up waking up and seeing that he lost 12 hours of his, life there, doesn't know what happened, and it was all felt like a blur, felt like it was more seconds than it was hours. And the girl calls up saying, what the hell is going on? Why did you ditch me? No answer. All right, screw you. You're a loser. And that's the least of his problems. He could actually care less about that situation, because that is skipped over within like the first 5 minutes of this movie. And he is already more worried about what happened with him with the alien. So he does a bunch of information, looking up information about alien abductions, and looking back on a guy that him and his friend used to watch, and how, take his stories to heart about him being abducted, and he feels like whatever happened to that guy is now happening to him. So now he wants to get all the information, he wants to get himself armed up and ready to go for the next time that the aliens come. He ends up calling his buddy Sticks again, and because he feels like he might be the only guy that might believe him on what's going on. So tells him what's going on. He's freaking out about it. Stuff starts happening slowly again, and Sticks ends up managing to make his way there. And Jimmy keeps telling him, like, no, bro, you got to get out of here. You can't be here. They're still also working out their own shit. And it's just a back and forth with them arguing nonstop. Jimmy's trying to get him out because he doesn't want Sticks to die. And obviously, as all that's going on, the lights go off. Sticks is gone for about a half hour. I believe they said that's what it was. And Jimmy's trying to find him while he's fighting off all of these aliens. Then Sticks does come back, and then Jimmy disappears, and Sticks tells him, like, you were gone for 3 hours, and I've been handing off all these aliens by myself. And, like, both guys do not trust each other, because, like, they have no idea if one's fake, if one's real. Like, they have no idea. Like, their minds are so effed that they really don't know who to trust at this point. So they end up fighting, which Jimmy ends up telling him, like, maybe this was good. And he's like, what, that we almost killed each other? Like, I don't know how that's a good thing. And he's like, no, maybe we needed to get this out from our friendship. Like, maybe this is very cathartic. So they start working together, realizing that, like, alcohol helps. Shotgun shells, obviously, to the head. Because, like, these fuckers just keep coming back alive. They will not stay down, and they just keep coming and coming and coming. No matter how much they put them down, they just keep coming. And Sticks finds out while Jimmy was gone for those 3 hours that he took the head off of one of them and just placed it up on the door frame there. And they haven't really shown up since then. So whether they're scared that they just left the head, an alien head, just chilling up there, or if they're going to let them just take each other out instead. So they end up getting separated, and they start feeling pain in their mouth, which I guess the aliens implanted something in there. We don't know what eventually. We do find out once it starts crawling up and, like, the pain gets worse. They start drinking more alcohol, take more pills, smoking a bunch of cocaine, like, snorting it. Like, there is a lot of heavy drug and alcohol use in this movie, for sure. And unfortunately, Sticks just can't, he can't get the thing out of his face, and it ends up just exploding into this alien creature. And then Jimmy is trying to do the same thing, but then he gets abducted, and these astronaut-like people are trying to dissect them, but then he gets the upper hand, kills them as he's on this ship, and we go into a POV of Jimmy's version of this, and then he starts chopping up off his limbs, and he starts chopping, like, it's ridiculous how this all goes into, and it is very balls to the wall. Like, I will say, this movie is crazy, and it's not just, like, a little crazy, like a quirky indie film. No, this movie is balls to the wall, like, what did I just watch crazy? And honestly, I can kind of respect that. It's like the director said, we're not pulling any punches. We're throwing basically the whole kitchen sink at it, and maybe even the fridge as well, Like, they did everything they possibly could, and so, like, that is one of the pros that I like how crazy this movie is. And what's wild is it actually it's just what's wild is that it's just so crazy. Like, it is non-stop action. Like, they have, like, a few seconds where they have time to relax and catch their breath, but then it's boom, right to the action. And it's kind of nice to see something so crazy like that being made. But it's just nuts how crazy this movie gets and how ridiculously balls to the wall this movie ends up getting. It's hard to explain. It's definitely something you gotta watch to understand how crazy it is, but it is amazingly crazy how it is. Another pro, I know it kind of went, like, blended the story and that pro into each other, but it kind of just went well with what I was trying to talk about. And it actually feels real. Probably because this film was literally filmed in this director's apartment. This isn't like a Hollywood set that they built. Like, they added, like, maybe some of the stuff might be some sets, but most of this stuff was shot in the director's house. And you can either call it the most genius low-budget decision ever, or the most awkward Airbnb listing of all time, because at the end of the movie, it also has, like, a documentary that says, like, shows how they did things, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. And the rawness it gave it a certain charm. And he was talking about how some of the blood is, like, still stuck on the ceiling, and he's not sure how to get that off. Like, he's living in his movie, essentially, while he's writing other scripts for other movies. He is basically just living in this entire scene of this movie, which is absolutely crazy. And if they did use any CGI, you cannot see it. It looks almost 100% all practical effects, which I know that's what he wanted to do. I know the one scene with him chopping off his limbs, he had to be very careful with it because of where his knee was and where his the prosthetic leg was at. He had to be careful, otherwise he would have actually cut his leg. So it's stuff like that makes this movie even better, because of how real it is, because of how practical everything is. Like, I will always take a practical practical effects over CGI, because it makes it feel so much real, and you feel like this is actually happening instead of it taking you out by a CGI moment. And don't get me wrong, some CGI moments can be great and some can be done very well. I mean, look at Alien Earth, that looks great, but sometimes it doesn't look great, and you can easily see the CGI, and it can kind of take you out of that moment. With practical, you don't get that so much. Yes, you could tell it's fake and it's not real, but it still feels so real because it is there, and they're interacting with it. So, I have to respect them for that. It is crazy what they were able to do, and for how long it took them, it's kind of crazy, which I could see why it probably took them so long with the amount of craziness that's going on and how much they had to, like, dress up this apartment and it sounds insane what they were doing. But obviously, you know, there were some cracks, and by cracks, I mean a giant neon sign screaming, why is this still happening? Like, first, it felt repetitive. Like, painfully repetitive. The two friends fight, make up, fight, make up. It's basically a toxic relationship on repeat. By the fifth time, I felt like I was watching a bad sitcom without the laughing track. And then the aliens would come, then they would be gone. And then the aliens would come, and then they would be gone. It just kept doing the same thing over and over and over. And I just, at some point, you gotta stop doing the same stuff. I get having, you know, the same tropes that happens in almost every movie, but this was happening in the same movie. Not like in every other movie. This was happening in the same movie, the same stuff. And after a while, it just got exhausting to watch, and it kind of took you out of it because you know what was going to happen. You know, the aliens were going to come and fight. They were going to break, then they were going to fight, and then they were going to be friends again, and then fight the aliens, and then not fight the alien. Like, it just got annoying eventually. And that brings me to my second con, which it drags. And here's the thing. The movie isn't even 2 hours. I think it's an hour 34, but I swear by the end, it felt like it aged me by like 3 years. Some scenes just go on forever. Like, the director was allergic to editing, or he didn't like, and I can get that. I totally can get that, you know, with you working on a short time and trying to get out things at the same time. You don't want to, it makes it, sometimes it's easier just to do this instead of doing that, which I get, me being a small time, you know, YouTube guy. I don't have time to sit there and edit the videos that I want to edit them the way I like to. So sometimes I have to do them in a certain way that might not be the most effective thing to do. And it's not what I like to do, but it's something that I can still get it out in time and still have it where people can even just maybe just listen to it instead of watching it. But, so I can understand that, you know, doing scenes in a certain way, but it just made it seem like he didn't want to say cut. He kind of just wanted to keep rolling with it, and it was like, all right, well, we're not going to redo that. We're just going to use what we got and just throw it in there. And unfortunately, it just felt like it could have been better as a short film, maybe like a 20 to 30 minute short film. I feel like it would have been tighter, and the action scenes would have hit a little bit harder, instead of me going, okay, we're about to see the same thing again for like the 15th time. I don't really want to do that. So, I mean, that was my only other issue with it. And then the last thing is, there's the story, or should I say the illusion of a story, because when the credits rolled, I had no idea what I just watched. Was this all in his mind? Like, was he so drunk that he was thinking these visions of these aliens? Or was it just two guys fighting on a loop in an apartment until we all lost our sanity along with them? Honestly, at the point, I didn't care. I just wanted it to end. But I still had, like, no idea what it was. Was it in his head? Was it real? Was it just these two friends going through a toxic relationship, and this is what they had as like a way of showing it, how toxic it was? The aliens were the relationship, and them fighting the aliens, but then having to fight themselves because they realized they still like each other as friends. because they've been friends for 20 years since they were kids. Like, it just, I have no idea what it was trying to make it seem like, or what it was trying to do. And that could have easily been on me just not seeing the point, but with me watching it, I didn't know what I was supposed to think. If it was supposed to be in his head, or if it was real. I wasn't sure. And it kind of, and the story itself wasn't really much of a story. It was aliens come to abduct a guy, and the guy fights him off in his apartment. That was the story. I could literally sum that up right there. That was the whole movie. There was no, okay, if you want me to be a little more elaborate, it was guy fighting off aliens in his apartment from being abducted, and his friend joins them to fight him off, and that's it. That's the story, essentially. There's no real growth of the characters. They're basically the same all the way through. They try to remake, they try to make up, and then they go back to being hated at each other. Like, it just, I don't know. So, yeah, for me, Jimmy and Sticks gets a D+. It had a couple fun, chaotic moments, and I'll always respect the hustle of writing, directing, and filming it yourself in your own apartment, or even doing it on your own budget. I will give them more than enough credit for that. That right there is like what I want to see. I want to see directors, writers, and stuff like that take chances. Because, the more chances they take, something's going to hit, and it's going to be good, instead of factoring the same shit that we always see. And it's like, well, that was fine, that was okay, it wasn't great, but it wasn't special, I'm going to forget it. As much as this movie wasn't great to me, I probably will remember this movie over anything generic that I've seen. But honestly, this should have been a 20-minute film, not a full feature. Stretching it out just killed the fun. And I feel like it could have been a little bit better, maybe as a short film. I appreciate them being able to get the film for as long as it was, and being able to get it into theaters. I will respect that the hell. But overall, it didn't do anything for me as a movie. So, if you want to watch something insane and confusing that makes you question life choices, well, here you go. Otherwise, save yourself the headache. But that will do it for this one. Have you guys seen Jimmy and Sticks? If so, let me know. Was I missing something that I didn't catch? Or did it just do the same thing for you and you're like, what did I just watch for an hour or so? Always love hearing comments and feedback. I always appreciate it. That's the only way I know I will get better at anything, and to do something different instead of sending out the same crap to you guys and you're like, oh my god, he's doing it the same way again. I hate it this way. This is the only way for me to know. So put the feedback in the comments. I love hearing it. And like I say, if you want me to tackle something else, always more than welcome to do that. But until then, I will see you in the next episode.